Hey up everyone, welcome back to the Rugby League History channel. Today on the channel I'll be doing my tips for round 14 of the 2024 NRL season. Last week were one of the craziest weeks I've seen, especially during the Origin period where all 5 teams that weren't expected to win won. So some tipsters out there were either 0-5 or 1 from 5. I normally do my tipping videos on a Sunday due to work and some other reasons, but with the way that State of Origin is, players in and out, I decided to wait until the team lists come out to give the best possible tipping video. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and we'll start with the first game, which is kicking off on Friday night. There is no Thursday night game this week. And the match on the Friday is St George against West Tigers. This one's being played at Wynn Stadium in Wollongong. In the last 10 matches between these two sides, both teams have won 5 matches each. However, St George have won their last 3 matches against the West Tigers, including the round 6 fixture this year at Campbelltown Stadium. West Tigers' record at Wynn Stadium currently stands at 8 matches played, 4 wins, 3 losses and 1 draw. For West Tigers, they welcome back Justin Olam. As for St George, they've named all their State of Origin players on the reserves bench, but I doubt any of them will play. It's too short of a turnaround. Now last week St George pulled off an upset against Penrith, a very good second half display there, and as for West Tigers, they've lost their last 8 matches in a row, so they currently sit 16th on the table, second last, and St George in 12th. This is a tricky game to call to start off the round, but I have a good feeling about St George, so I'll tip St George to win by 112 points on the Friday. And the first match on Super Saturday is between the Gold Coast and South Sydney. This one's being played at Seabus Super Stadium on the Gold Coast. South Sydney have an amazing record at Seabus Super Stadium. They've only lost once there since 2009, and funnily enough it was their first ever match that they played there that they lost. Since then, they've won the last 13 times that they've travelled there. With South Sydney as well, they have a good record against the GC overall. They've won 9 of their last 10 matches against them. Last time out, these two teams with Gold Coast, they played against Brisbane and they pulled off a very spirited win there. As for South Sydney, they defeated Parramatta 42 points to 26. However, I will point out that for the first half an hour of the game, it was all South. They had all the ball. As soon as Parramatta got one set of 6 inside their danger zone, it resulted in a try. And to be honest, it felt every time that Parramatta got the ball in South Sydney's danger zone, South Sydney were very weak defensively. And if it weren't for that red hot start that they had, they probably would have lost the game. As for the Gold Coast, even though they haven't been winning every week, they've improved in the last few matches. They've scored a lot of points. There's a lot more grit and determination about them. One thing I will point out though, defensively they're not very good. There's only been one occasion this year that they've conceded less than 20 points, and they've conceded 30 points on a few occasions. So this is going to be a really high scoring match. But the Gold Coast are welcoming back some players like Jaden Campbell as a prime example. So I think this is going to be a really high scoring game. It could be another 34 points to 30, 36 points to 34, something like that. But I will back the home side, and I'll back them to break their hoodoo against South Sydney as well. So I'll go Gold Coast to win by 1 to 12 points in a very high scoring affair. The second match on Super Saturday is between North Queensland and New Zealand. This one's being played at the Queensland Country Bank Stadium in Townsville. New Zealand have a good record over North Queensland in recent times. They've won 7 of the last 10 matches against them. However, their record's not that good at the new Queensland Country Bank Stadium. They've only won once there since it opened, and their record at the old 1300 Smiles Stadium wasn't that great either. They played 19 matches there and only recorded 6 victories. But with New Zealand, they're welcoming back a whole host of players for this game. Kate Well, Fanua Blake, Rocco Berry, Tohu Harris, Wade Egan and Charles Nicol-Klukstad are all back. As for North Queensland, I think some of their players have been put on the reserves or named from the State of Origin, but I highly doubt that they probably would play in this match. This is another really hard game to call because both teams have had adversity with injuries this year, and they've still managed to pick up wins. I mean, with North Queensland last week, not many people gave them a chance against East, and they won that game. It's a really tough one to call, but I don't know, I've got a feeling about New Zealand, especially with all the players that are coming back. I'm going to go for New Zealand to win, so I'll pick them to win by 1 or 12 points on the Super Saturday. Third match on Super Saturday is between Brisbane and Cronulla Sutherland. This match is being played at Suncorp Stadium. Brisbane have won 8 of their last 10 matches against Cronulla. Head-to-heads, there's been 62 matches played. Brisbane's won 40, Cronulla's won 22. At the moment, Cronulla is second on the table, Brisbane are fifth. Cronulla coming into this game after 2 losses in a row. The 42 now drubbing against Penrith, and then they lost against Parramatta, which I was surprised about. But with Brisbane as well, you know, they're going okay this year. They've had some problems with injuries, players out, but they're still going about their business. I mean, they did have a disappointing loss last time out against the Gold Coast. I think they really should have won that game. But with this one, I have noticed that some of their players have been named to back up from the state of origin. Reece Walsh, Payne Haas, the like of those players. As for Cronulla, it waits to be seen whether Hines and McInnes will back up on the Saturday. But for this one, I think Brisbane at home will be a little bit too strong for Cronulla. So I'll tip Brisbane to win by 1 to 12 points on the Saturday. The first match on Sunday sees Melbourne against Newcastle. This one's being played at Ely Park in Melbourne. In the last 10 meetings, Melbourne have won 8 of those. And the last time that Newcastle won in Melbourne was in round 24 of the 2015 NRL season. Melbourne are currently in first at the moment and Newcastle are 11th. Now, last week I tipped Newcastle to beat Canterbury, and they were absolutely fucking dreadful. They were diabolical. Some of the tries were very comical, especially the last try that Bronson Jerry scored. Very, very soft defending. The first try that was conceded, it looked like someone off the Benny Hill show. They were awful, and I'm pretty sure they'll all be having a long, hard look at themselves in the mirror coming into this game. With Melbourne, from what I've seen on the team list, a lot of their players that have been picked for state of origin have been named to back up on the Sunday. So for this one, I'm going to go for Melbourne to win. I think Newcastle will put in a better performance. I mean, they have to after that showing against Canterbury. But I'll go for Melbourne to win by 13 plus on the Sunday. And the second match on the Sunday is between Penrith and Manly-Warringah. This one's being played at Penrith Stadium. In the last 10 matches that these two sides played against each other, Penrith have won 8 of those, but Manly won earlier in the year at Brookvale Oval. From what I can see on the team list, both sides have their origin stars named to play in this match to back up. With Manly, they have a pretty good record at Penrith. They've played a total of 46 times there, or should I say 48 times. They've had 23 wins, 23 losses and 2 draws since 1967. Currently, Penrith are 3rd on the table, Manly are 7th. With this match, this is another tricky one to call because Manly upset Penrith earlier in the year when they had all their stars on deck. But Penrith have their players coming back. Of course, they suffered that shock loss against St George last week. Surely they can't lose 2 in a row at Penrith Stadium. So, although I could probably see Manly winning this game, I'm going to go for Penrith. I'm going to go for Penrith to win by 1 to 12 points on Sunday. And the final match to close out the round on the King's birthday bank holiday Monday is Canterbury Bankstown against Parramatta. This one's being played at Stadium Australia, the second biggest rivalry in the NRL. Currently, Canterbury are 9th on the table, Parramatta are 15th on the table, but they could be second last on the table come Monday if West Tigers win on the Friday night over St George. In the last 10 meetings between these two sides, Parramatta have dominated the fixture over their rivals. They've won the last 4 in a row, and in some of the matches that they have won, they've scored almost 30 points a game against Canterbury. This is also Clint Gutherson's 200th first grade game. One of the most hated players in the NRL, but Parramatta fans certainly like him, and he'll be playing his 200th first grade game there on the Monday. With Bailey Simonson being ruled out for the season with an ACL injury, Blaze Tulungi goes into the centre. Jermaine Hopgood has also been named a backup from State of Origin on the Wednesday. As for Canterbury, they'll have no Viliami Kikau, and Josh Addo-Carr's out for 8 to 10 weeks with a hamstring injury. Both of these sides coming into the fixture having recorded impressive victories, with Canterbury having 2 players in the bin and still holding your opposition trialists pretty much pointless from the first 1 or 2 minutes of the game is a great feat. They're a different team this year, Canterbury. The defence is a lot better, there's a lot more grit about them. As for Parramatta, they surprised a lot of people with that victory over Cronulla, who were first on the table. And it just goes to show how important Moses and Gutherson are to the team. It's actually good and concerning at the same time, because pretty much the entire fortunes of the club rest on 2 players' shoulders, and if they're not there, they go from an okay team to wooden spoon candidates just like that. So it is good and concerning at the same time. But I've said during the week to a couple of people, if Parramatta play anything like they did against Cronulla, I give them every chance of beating Canterbury. Canterbury have been playing better this year, but it's a rivalry game. Form goes out the window. It's about who wants it more, who wants the bragging rights. And also, I should mention, Parramatta just have to be careful with Reid Marnie. He's going to want to stay, he's going to want to cause trouble out on the pitch, but the Parramatta players just have to have a cool head in that scenario. So for this match, I'm going to back Parramatta to win by 1 to 12 points. It might even be less than that, it might be 2 points, 4 points. I think this is going to be a really close game on the Monday. Hopefully a big crowd there. I'm predicting between 25 to 30,000 people will show up, mainly based on the way that Parramatta's been going this year and the fact that most of the fan base hates Stadium Australia. But yeah, I'll go Parramatta to win by 1 to 12 points on the Monday. And those are my tips for round 14 of the 2024 NRL season. I hope you enjoyed these tips. If you did, let me know in the comment section below. Let me know who you're tipping this week. I'd be interested to know. Thanks to everyone that's been supporting the channel, subscribing recently, liking the videos, commenting, sharing, all that good stuff. It's much appreciated. And I'll catch us all later in the next video. Alright, tatty bye for now.